So, hi again everyone. This is yet another game, one that I started a few days ago, so I'm not very far along. And I've run into an issue with my power grid. So when I started, I put down this mining machine. You can see power is now going down. So how did we get here? When I started, I put down this mining machine, and it was supplying coal to this belt. And you can see I put down these 4 thermal power plants. They're slowly shutting down. The first one is shut down, the second one is shut down, the third one is shut down, and we might even see the 4th one. There it goes, it's shutting down as well. So what has happened is when I first put these power plants down, they were operating at 50% capacity or half capacity, and that means they were only pulling half as much coal off the belt. And as I built more facilities, I demanded more from my power grid until these thermal power plants were at maximum capacity. And running at full capacity, they were pulling twice as much coal off of this belt. And this belt because I have 7 nodes, this belt, if it had full power, would be supplying 210 pieces of coal per minute. And these power plants at full capacity draw 240 pieces of coal per minute. And what happens is this one on the end, this thermal power plant on the end, starts to get starved of fuel. And when it's starved of fuel, it produces less power. And that makes the problem worse. Less power on the grid means that this mining machine operates at less capacity and puts less coal on the belt, which then starts to starve out the next thermal power plant until it shuts down. And this problem is known on the internet as the death spiral. Now, this problem wasn't this bad, but I've actually made a few changes just to demonstrate what can happen. That's why everything is shutting down, because you're going to run into this. So how can we fix it? Well, I could start putting down wind turbines to help, feed power into the grid. That would work. But what I've decided to do is I've come over here and I found this this collection of ore here. It's actually coal. And I've put 2 mining machines, and these 2 mining machines can easily saturate this belt with 360 pieces of coal per minute. Now, the $1 million question is, how many power plants can this belt realistically feed. And if you look at this problem, you're going to end up looking at a piece of coal here and noticing that it is 2.7 megajoules of energy. So megajoules is a unit of energy. And then you might look at the power plant and see that it supplies 2.16 megawatts of power. So megawatts is a unit of power. And power is how quickly energy is consumed. So you're probably completely lost, but that's okay. We'll get there. So if the way I approach this problem is I looked at this belt and I realized that it can supply 360 pieces of coal per minute. And a piece of coal is just a chunk of energy. So what is energy per minute is a unit of power. So this belt, I got ChatGPT to do the calculation. 360 pieces of coal per minute multiplied by 2.7 megajoules per piece of coal gives you 16.2 megawatts. So this belt can be thought as a 16.2 megawatt belt. And you might think, well, okay, if we look at the thermal power plant, 16.2 megawatt belt divided by 2.16 megawatt power plant gives you, I think, exactly 7.5. And you might be tempted to put down 7 or 8 power plants on this belt. But there's another problem. If you look at this thermal power plant, it has an attribute called energy efficiency. So this power plant is only 80% efficient. And that means when it burns a piece of coal, it doesn't get 2.7 megajoules of energy. It actually gets only 80% of that, which happens to be 2.16 megajoules of energy. So what does that mean for our calculation? It means that our belt here, which is a 16.2 megawatt belt, because it's feeding these thermal power plants and they're only 80% efficient, our belt is only, if we have to adjust it, we have to apply that 80% modifier. It's only 13.96 megawatts. And 13.96 divided by, so let me start that over. 13.96 megawatt belt divided by 2.16 megawatts per power plant is exactly 6. And you can see here I have 6 power plants. If that took you a while to get your head around, I wouldn't blame you. It certainly took me a while to figure out. And it doesn't matter what kind of fuel you put on this belt. Some people like to convert the coal into energetic graphite using arc smelters. It does result, it is slightly more efficient. You get more out of energetic graphite than you do out of coal. I think energetic graphite is 6.75 yeah, 6.75 megajoules per piece of energetic coal, but energetic graphite, but it takes 2 pieces of coal to make any. I've done the calculation before. Yes, if you want to min-max things, it's worthwhile, you know, converting coal into energetic graphite before burning it in these power plants. But the point I'm trying to make is it doesn't matter what kind of fuel you put on this belt. If I put energetic graphite at 6.75 megajoules per piece, get ChatGPT to convert that to megawatts, and you're going to find that it's 40.5 megawatts. But you still have to, because they're feeding these thermal power plants that aren't very efficient, you still have to apply the 80% modifier. So that belt would then be 32.4 megawatts. And if you divide 32.4 megawatt belt by 2.16 megawatt thermal power plant, you're going to get 15. So if this belt had energetic graphite on it, I think I could supply 15 thermal power plants with it. But anyways, let's go fix my grid problem. So I'm going to connect this using, I call them long distance power lines, but the official name of this object is a wireless power tower. So I'm just going to kind of place it here. And now we should see they're coming to life here. And they're supplying the grid.
Light mode.
Now let's see what's happened over here. So this mining machine is at 100% efficiency because it's got all the power it needs. It's once again putting 210 on the belt. And because these thermal power plants are not operating at 100%, they're not pulling as much coal off the belt. And you can see the coal is starting to stack up on the belt. I'm probably just going to take away that power plant there, because this belt can only feed 3 power plants. The 4th one will starve at full capacity. And that's really all I wanted to say about the power issue. You're probably going to run into that at some point. And you're going to end up doing all this math in your head. And when that happens, best of luck. Couple things I'll quickly show you before the end of this video that aren't really power related, but they kind of caused the issue to begin with. Is I made this assembly line here. I have these 4 assembly machines, and I've fed 4 input belts, 2 on each side, and the output belts I squeezed in between, and I've connected all the output belts into one belt using splitters, and the output belt just feeds the storage depot directly. So I've got, in this storage depot, I've got 494 wind turbines, and that's interesting because I put enough material to make 500. So and before that I ran arc smelters, so I have 1500 arc smelters that will last me a long time. So let's just have a look here what happened. Well, this particular assembly machine has 12 ingots, 6 magnetic coils, and no gears. And if you go down the line, you'll see similar problems, right? So there was enough material to make 500 wind turbines, but the way it played out, these machines didn't get the exact right amount. So what I wanted to show you here is something that tripped me up when I was first learning how to play this game. Is once you've selected a recipe for this assembling machine, how do you get rid of that recipe? If you look at this menu like I did, there's nothing obvious on here on how to clear out the recipe, and if you left click on it, it doesn't do anything either. Now I'm sure you're all more observant than I was, and you've probably already noticed that when I hover over this recipe, this little X appears. This will clear out the recipe. So I click on it and it gives me the ingots and magnetic coils that were in there, 12 and 6. I go to the next one and that X is not there unless you hover over it. So I'll click it again, it clears out the recipe, another 12 and 6, so 24 and 12. And I'll clear this one out, and I've got 32 and 14. So I'm just going to take the stuff that I cleared out, which was 32 ingots and 14 of these coils, and it looks like we still had some gears on the input line. And it's making the last one right now, and out it goes down the output line, and that should equal exactly 500. So I'm going to clear this out because I don't need it anymore. And I have forgotten to give Icarus some fuel. There's 500 wind turbines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fly over here if I can. It's going to kick me out of the air because I ran out of... Look how slow I am. That's okay because we got some coal here. I'll hit C for the mecha panel. Shift left click on the coal. Icarus is going to use that coal now. My bar down here. But I'm going to fly over. No, can't fly. I don't have enough energy to fly. But I'm going to walk over here to these long distance power lines, and they're going to charge me up. See down here? up my bar goes. Almost done.
Flight mode.
Oh. Flight mode. How do you get that? I recommend going for that early. In the technology tree, if you click on upgrades at the top, there's an upgrade for drive engine. So if you click on it, it says you need 150 pieces of coal and 50 of these engines to research drive engine, and drive engine unlocks mecha flight. When you're flying, you're quite a bit faster. It increases your speed by 150%. So you know where to get coal, but where do you get the engines? Under the technology tree, they're just down here. You're going to eventually use these engines to create missiles, but 20 blue cubes will unlock this engine, and then you can research the technology, that drive engine that gives you flight. To fly, double tap the space bar. I think I mentioned in the previous video, you just hold the mouse wheel like a button, and then I'm just using the W key on the keyboard to fly, and he's chasing the mouse now. You can also use S and D to make, kind of sharper turns. Well, how do you get out of the air? I didn't mention this. You just tap the Alt key on the keyboard, and you just fall out of the air like that. And if I stand by this power line, it'll help power me up. What I've built here is a steel production facility. And I built it because I needed steel for this inventory capacity upgrade. So I wanted an extra line of inventory capacity. It requires 120 steel, and that's why I had to build this. And you can probably tell that this needed a lot of power. So that contributed to my power issue. But real quick, I got these iron veins here, 17 of them. I did a good job of placing my mining machines. I use splitters to combine the output belts, and we have our 360 pieces of iron ore on the belt per minute, and we're using the entire capacity of this belt with these 6 arc smelters to create 360 ingots per minute, which then go into this final set of 6 smelters that are actually producing the steel, because it takes 3 iron ingots to make 1 piece of steel, and that recipe takes 3 seconds. So the end result is each arc smelter takes 60 ingots per minute and produces only 20 pieces of steel per minute. So all 6 of these arc smelters are producing a total of 120 steel per minute, which really isn't very much considering I had to build all this just to do that. I'm tapping basically this entire collection of ore just to produce 120 steel girders per minute. And the moral of the story here, guys, is that it's not easy to ramp up the supply of steel. So I don't even have half a belt here of steel. And you're going to need this steel to make foundation foundation is what you use to fill in these holes that have like water in them. If you want to build here, you put foundation down. And what I'm trying to tell you is go ahead and use foundation, but don't waste it, because it uses this steel, and steel can take a lot of effort to produce in large quantities.
Flight mode.
Anyways, I think that's everything that I wanted to say in this video. So thanks for watching.